Welcome to Around the Ozarks, a public affairs program brought to you by your local Midwest Family Broadcasting station. Here's your host, Scott Meyer.
And good morning and welcome to Around the Ozarks this Sunday morning. My name is Scott Meyer. I'm your host, as I am every Sunday morning. I'm the general manager here at Midwest Family Broadcasting Group of radio stations. And in keeping with everything we've been doing this month, having to do with the holiday seasons, and obviously holiday seasons always mean giving, this morning I've got a couple of guests who must have been a little late of getting out of the room because they both became co-chairmen, and typically that happens when you're not there as opposed to there. But a couple of Knights of Columbus, I've got Dean Ahrens and Rocky Gambon, otherwise known as John Gambon, except when he's in trouble. And or I guess it's the other way around. It'd be John Gambon when you're not in trouble, Rocky when you're out with your friends, who are both co-chair of this next year's 2017 22nd annual Bowl-a-thon, which benefits the kitchen. Now, without me reading from the brochure, I'd just as soon have both of you tell me about it. But let's start first with the Knights of Columbus, who are obviously working alongside the kitchen. What's the partnership there? And Dean or Rocky, who wants to go first and talk about that?
Well, there are a dozen or so councils of the Knights throughout this part of the country within 50 or 60 miles of Springfield, and we've grouped together over the last 21 years. This will be our 22nd year to help support the kitchen in their cause to end homelessness. We started in 1995. We had a very small group of bowlers and raised a few $1,000s. This year, our goal is upwards of 600 bowlers, and our goal is $60,000.
Is that right? Yeah. Now, when you say to reduce or make homelessness go away, is that really possible?
Well, we'd like to strive to it. We know that there are going to be difficult cases, but the kitchen is evolved in its message to the community, and its task is really about ending homelessness in this area. So we're fully behind them as members of the Knights.
Well, Dean, if we can, let's talk a little bit about the kitchen. I know I did a little research, and it was started, it looks like, in the mid-'80s.
That's
Sounds
correct.
about right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the kitchen's mission has always been about homelessness?
Well, basically addressing the poor and those in need in the community is really what the kitchen has always been about. And it has evolved over time because of changes in circumstance and finances and things like that. Now their big focus is, addressing the homelessness, finding a home for everyone, and basically giving people the pride of having a roof over their head and, the opportunity to put their life back together when things tend to fall apart.
So the kitchen was a result of someone who was near and dear to this issue, or give me, if you can, and I'm not trying to put you both on the spot here, and if I am, tell me, but just looking for a little history on the kitchen.
Well, no, it started with the work of Sister Lorraine Biebel,
okay,
who basically started the kitchen, as it were, at St. Agnes, back in the early 80s as a food pantry, and it really just began to explode from there. There was such a need that she was able to get the location, which was down on Commercial Street. And at first, the whole premise of the kitchen was, just to feed the homeless and the poor. And it just expanded after that. Now they had the Missouri Hotel that they had done so much with, and worked with people of issues such as mental illness, the veterans who are homeless. They've evolved beyond the Missouri Hotel into other things, and it's just grown legs over the last 30 years. It really, truly has.
My guests this morning are the co-chairs of this upcoming Bowl-a-thon that's to benefit the kitchen, both Dean Ahrens and Rocky Gambon. Dean, what's your day job?
I'm a financial advisor.
Okay.
I'm independent advisor and work with individuals and businesses and help them try to plan financially for the future.
Now, that takes a lot of time, and obviously something like this takes a lot of time. So did you raise your hand, or was it, Dean, it's your turn?
I participated in the Bowl-a-thon from the first year. I brought my kids there when they were 3 and 4 years old, and Rocky and I have been co-chairs for the last 4 or 5 years, I think. Hard to get away with such a passionate mission and the good that the kitchen does.
Oh, it's got to make you feel great. You said the mission this year is to raise $60,000. Talk about last year a little bit and why you think $60,000 is a good goal for this year.
Well, basically, to be quite honest, it was the goal that we had for last year as far as an amount, and so we came up a little bit short of it last year, so we wanted to keep the amount at the same level. We have focused more this year on sponsorship and gaining sponsors and trying to get organizations to help us in that regard. And we have brought in some sponsors at this point. But anything that we can do to help out the kitchen as far as amounts, they're happy with. And so, they're basically willing to do anything they can, because to them this is nothing but, I don't want to call it gravy, but it's profit and it's money that can be used.
Sure. Follow-up question for you, Rocky. The event is on the 15th of January. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, basically, we have a website that is available. We have a Facebook page. The website is www.knightsstrikingout.org.
And spell Knights?
Yes, KNIGHTSSTRIKINGOUT.org.
Striking Out.
NightsStrikingOut.org.
Okay.
And then we also have our Facebook page.
Yeah, and you can get the applications off of the kitchen website as well.
thekitcheninc.com. .org.
Thekitcheninc.org.
Yes.
Okay. And I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and post those on our MWFmarketing.fm website as well. That was a lot to remember.
Yes, it is.
and it's not easy when you've got all of this going on. You have, how many bowlers are registered so far?
We will expect to have around 600 bowlers at 4 different alleys spread out throughout Springfield. And
so this is across the city.
It is.
Okay,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
who participates that way?
Enterprise Lanes is our home location. That's where we started out. But we're over at Lighthouse Lanes, we're over at Sunshine Lanes, and we're also over in Nixet Century Lanes.
Okay, and even though you're already at almost 600 bowlers, have you got room for more?
We do. One of the locations that we're really pushing this year is the Sunshine Lanes. We've got about 32 alleys over there. It's unique in its setup. It's a little bit older alley, but they have 2 different sides to the facility. We would like to fill out both sides this year. So based on last year, we could probably get another 15 or 16 teams of 5 bowlers. And that would fill up that location. That would be a blowout crowd.
Now, you mentioned you first got involved bringing your kids to this event. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Why'd you bring your kids?
Well, it's a super family-friendly event. When it was started, it was deemed that we wanted to do something that was affordable and fun for families to participate in to help the kitchen. So the cost is essentially $50 a team, 5 team members. So we have, again, all these alleys with up to 5 people on a team. Mm-hmm. The objective is for them to bring in pledges per pin knockdown or to find sponsors to make cash donations. And we have a lot of fun the day of. We do challenges and contests throughout the day, drawings. There's a canned food drive that goes on throughout the day, so we collect food so that when the kitchen does rehouse and help put these people in facilities, that they've got all the basic necessities.
Now, are either of you great bowlers as well, or is this just something you do because you do it?
No, I am not a great bowler.
Rocky, you're not a great bowler.
No,
okay.
Let's just make that real
Dean,
clear
how about
right
you?
now.
I used to bowl once a year in the early stages of this, and now both Rocky and I, along with some of our support, we kind of MC the event.
Well, I kind of picture it doing it by the pins, and all of a sudden you're a 300 bowler, and maybe you could get some extra scratch that way.
God, I wish it were that easy. Boy, that would make things simple, wouldn't it?
It's never that easy. A couple of weeks ago when we did the show, we had Randy Bacon in. Are either of you familiar with Randy's work?
Yeah,
he's a photo artist. Right, he's a studio photographer, but a photo artist and photojournalist. And he's got a great exhibition right now at his gallery about the homeless. And even though you've got a little time between now and then, it might be something, I'm just throwing it out there, that you might want to get a hold of Randy. I can give you his contact information. And if nothing else, it kind of supports the backstory of who the homeless are here in the area in Springfield. The stories are so different. Right. And I think many of us, when you pass them in traffic, necessarily, maybe not by design, but your eyes maybe go to the other side of the road, or you don't want to acknowledge, or you think and I'll be honest, I think sometimes too, there's places looking for work, people to work, and you're standing on a street corner not working, you're trying to collect money from folks. Can either of you talk about that a little bit and why you get involved because of maybe what you've experienced yourselves?
Well, obviously our hearts go out to all those folks we see standing in the medians, and sometimes they're called panhandlers, but they're not out there typically because they want to be. There are exceptions, we know, but it's hard sometimes to pull money out of your pocket to give to those folks because you don't know where it goes. Mm-hmm. You'd like to think that you're helping them, but if you support the Bowl-a-thon, whether it's $10 or $25, $100, whatever you can do, it goes to the kitchen, and they aren't asking the questions as to why you're homeless. They want to put you in a situation where you stabilize your life. From that point forward, the kitchen has about 25 caseworkers that once they're housed, they can help them figure out what their problems are and assist them in reorganizing and shaping their lives to make them contributors to the community again.
Sure. The one thing I do want to point out that I see in the brochure that I think is real important, 100% of the money raised in the Bowl-a-thon goes to the effort.
Yeah, we, as members of the Knights, we fund the cost of the materials and the mailings, and essentially our objective is to give, minus the cost of bowling, which we ask those $50 donations for teams to help cover the cost of bowling. Virtually all the profit goes to the kitchen. We hold nothing back.
No, that's amazing. Let's talk about that again. If somebody wants to involve their family or maybe set some teams up at work, the way they contact the Knights of Columbus again is how?
They go to the knightsstrikingout.org. They can go to the kitcheninc.org. They can get those applications online, fill them out, pay for them online. They do need to indicate which alley they would like to bowl at, their preferences. We know that there are going to be open lanes over at Sunshine Lanes, but if you want to get at Enterprise Park Lanes or out in the Century Lanes at Nexor Lighthouse Lanes, you need to get those entries in as soon as possible.
What time of day on the 15th?
We'll start probably in the early afternoon. People start showing up about 11, 12 o'clock. We start bowling about 1 and bowl the better part of the afternoon.
Now,
usually done late afternoon. Everyone has a good time.
Excuse me. Now, Dean and Rocky, you said you both have chaired this event for about the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. What's it look like in the future? Are we going to chair it for another 5 years?
Well, we've always talked about that, but I think in the greater scheme of things, as long as there's a need, we're going to do our very best to be part of it. I really will.
Is there anything else either one of you wants to add that maybe we didn't cover that you think might be important? You
mentioned earlier about the need of the people in the community and that. About 2 years ago, one of the things we did as an interesting endeavor was that we got hold of some of the bowling pins, actual physical bowling pins from the alley that they were ready to discard. They were no longer using. We turned them over to some of the kids at the Rare Breed, and we asked them to, decorate them, paint them, and so on. And a few of them you could really see they put their story on those bowling pins. Mm-hmm. And we put them up as part of a silent auction item and stuff like that. And though, a bowling pin is only, 10, 14 inches tall, it really did tell a story at the time for some of them. Some of the kids were just having fun with them as far as how they decorated, but others, you could see that they had really had their trials and tribulations and were appreciative of what the kitchen was doing. Rare Breed is a very important part of the kitchen, and you could see they appreciated the fact that, the Knights are trying to help them out.
This is the Knights striking out for the kitchen, and it's the 22 years strong, the Bowl-a-thon. It's happening January 15th, 2017. The lanes involved at this point are Enterprise Park Lanes, Sunshine Lanes, Lighthouse Lanes, and Century Lanes in Nixa. We'll put on our website, the mwfmarketing.fm website, how to get a hold of them. I want to thank my guests this morning, both Dean Ahrens and Rocky Gambon, and appreciate the work that you two do, and obviously the enthusiasm you put into your effort.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great morning.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a minute.
Holidays can be stressful for families. To help ease that stress, here's a Triple P positive parenting tip.
Sometimes kids behave badly on purpose. It's one way to get your attention. You could be accidentally rewarding problem behavior. Research shows plenty of attention when they're behaving well means you'll get more of the behavior you like and less of what you don't like.
Small changes, big difference. See how Triple P positive parenting program is already helping Greene County parents. TripleP-parenting.com/Ozarks.
There's always a lot going on with the Springfield Greene County Park Board. Register now for Spark Basketball, kindergarten through 6th grade in January and February. Hurry, registration ends December 9th.
Oh yeah, shooting hoops.
Grab the whole family, hop in the car, and head to Rutledge Wilson Farm Park's drive-through holiday light display, Candy Cane Lane. For just $5 a vehicle, you'll drive through dazzling holiday displays and see more than 10,000 twinkling lights from the warmth of your car. Open Fridays through Sundays from 5 to 8 p.m. through December 18th.
They're so sparkly.
Go ice skating with the entire family at Mediacom Ice Park. It's so much fun.
I like spending time with my family.
And don't forget to give the gift of health and fun with a Park Board gift certificate. You can choose any amount and it will never expire. You can use them for almost anything in parks like horseback riding, ice hockey, figure skating, archery clinics, tennis programs, swimming lessons, Spark Sports, and even summer camps and fitness memberships. Buy it online now at parkboard.org and follow us on Facebook to stay up to date with everything going on in your parks.
Welcome back to the second half of Around the Ozarks this morning. My name is Scott Meyer. I'm the general manager here at the Midwest Family Broadcasting Group of radio stations. I've got a very special guest for the second half, Rob Blevins, who is the community relations coordinator with Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Springfield. Morning.
Hi, Scott. Good morning.
Good to see you again.
There, I was thinking you were talking about somebody else when you said very special guest there, and then you said my name. So
well, it's
while
like,
I'm confused, I appreciate the kind words, and thanks for having me in today.
I mean, for me personally, Rob, it's a little like looking into a mirror since we both look so much alike, except for my gray hair and no beard.
I've got a lot of gray coming in now. And the beard
got a little bit going.
Yeah, I got a little bit going.
The Big Brothers Big Sisters is certainly, I think, one of those well-known commodities, but probably under-known groups as to what they really do. There's a lot of those out there. You know, Boys and Girls Clubs. I think people hear the name Boys and Girls Clubs and they go, I've heard of those, but they don't know what really goes on there. But we're here to talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters here in the greater Springfield area. Mm-hmm. And why don't you just initially give us some idea of what Big Brothers Big Sisters is and what it means to you.
Okay, we'll start with our vision statement as I interpret it. It's that we believe at Big Brothers Big Sisters that a child should not have their future success defined by the adversities they may be facing. It's completely unfair. Like, right, if you're born into a family where one of your parents is incarcerated or one of your parents passed away or you're in a situation of poverty, these things that aren't your fault as a child or sometimes anybody's fault, really, that's the type of thing that would keep you from being a successful person in life. That's our vision. And our mission is that we provide children facing this adversity with a one-on-one mentoring friendship that we professionally support that has the potential to change their life for the better forever. It's a pretty amazing thing, mentoring. I think most people, if you aren't egotistical, can get mentoring because you'll go back and right now replay in your mind the people that shaped you into who you are and be able to give them credit for something like that too, to realize that we're much more than just our own hard work, you know? So that's kind of how I feel the role that we play in that. So what we do is we take bigs and littles and we put them into a match together, hence the big brother, big sister thing. So we refer to the volunteers, the mentors, the adult positive role models as bigs, and then the children that come into our program as littles.
Sure. Now, you're a relatively young guy, and I think many times when people meet folks that are involved in active volunteerism, it's not always young people. I mean, a lot of times it's people that either have more time in their lives, maybe they've retired or have stepped back. But for you, obviously, this is a full-time job. Yeah. But why Big Brothers Big Sisters for you?
Well, it's kind of a long story, and I'll give you the quick version of this so we don't cut
That's
too much
good,
into
we don't
everything
have
that
a
we
lot
need
of
to
time.
talk about. I come from a large family. I've got 7 brothers and sisters, and my older brother, Scott, he's 5 years older than me. He played this role as like a big brother type figure to me growing up because we had, the 8 kids and the 1 income, and so we lived in what's referred to as situational poverty. And on my mom's side, it's generational poverty. She grew up in poverty. Her parents grew up in poverty. Her parents' parents grew up in poverty. And so I was born into this cycle of poverty. And if it weren't for my brother taking an interest in my life, telling me that I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get scholarships, I'm going to Make sure that you make all the right decisions when you're in high school now so that you'll be able to go to college. And then once you get into college, I'm going to make sure you finish college. If I didn't have my brother Scott, I could be in a much different place right now. And not because I think everybody needs to go to college, but for me, it's really been necessary for me to be able to do the things that I want to do in life, to have that college degree. So I was able to go to Missouri State and complete a couple different degree programs there. And like I said, I'm not super successful. I'm not saying that I'm not sitting here saying, well, look at me now, I'm super successful because of him. But I know that every success I'm able to achieve in life is because of him. And years ago, I was on the board, or I've been on the board at Springfield Sertoma Club. We help raise funds for children's charities around town through our special events we put on. And through that, we had a gifting program to decide who would get those funds. And in researching all the different organizations that we were able to offer the funds to, doing our fiduciary duty, making sure that it's a good organization, I learned about Big Brothers Big Sisters and became a strong advocate for them. And then when the position opened up to come on, because I'm in about 2 weeks, I'll have made my 1-year mark at the agency. But it's something it's something I'm passionate about, and it's just a really good fit. And I know that what they do has meaning to it.
Let's talk about the kids before we get into the bigs and littles, if we can.
Sure.
The littles are the kids, but before we get into the bigs, how old do the kids have to be before they get a mentor from you?
Okay, so 6 to 14 is when we can match a child in our traditional community-based program, unless they have a parent that's incarcerated. Now, if you have a parent that's incarcerated, you're 7 times more likely to end up in jail or prison yourself. When I was talking about, not having a university define a child, that's really hard to overcome. And say it another way, 7 out of 10 kids that have a parent that's incarcerated end up exactly where their parents are. And that's not fair. It's not. So they can get in at 5. We try to get them help as soon as possible. And then that's our community-based program. And then we have our Lunch Buddies program, where you could be kindergarten to 4th grade when we make a match. And then our Mentoring 101 program over at OTC Middle College is for juniors or seniors in their Progressive High School Diploma program. So they're 16, 17, 18 years old.
Okay. My guest this morning, again, is Rob Blevins. He's the Community Relations Coordinator with Springfield's Big Brothers Big Sister organization. I'm Scott Meyer, the General Manager here at Midwest Family, and you're listening to Around the Ozarks. That's the littles. Let's talk about the bigs for a minute. Do bigs have to be a specific age to mentor these kids?
They have to be 18, or if they're not over 21, they need to have lived in our service area for the last 6 months, which isn't necessarily a hard thing to do because we have a ginormous service area. Most of Southwest Missouri, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the Ozarks, we cover the Ozarks.
Okay. So is there a cutoff at the other end? I mean, if you have to be at least 18 or 21, can it be someone my age? Can it be someone who's retired? Is it?
We have bigs. We have several bigs in their 70s, even more in their 60s, even more than that in their 50s. We tend to see that there's a decline as the age goes on, but it's not something that's a requirement for us. In fact, we allow littles, their parent or legal guardian that signs them up when we're talking to them about what type of big do you want. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get them that say, I want more of a grandfather, grandmother type person, a mature person that can handle them and help them with that's very wise, has some experience behind them. Oftentimes, we'll get somebody that brings in a potential little brother that's applying to be in our program, and they'll say, well, they're absolutely insanely active. I'd really prefer a college-age kid for a big brother. That's fine. We accommodate whatever, and we have all ages.
Okay. The other question really relates more towards, I love storytelling, and Rob, I'm sure you're a pretty good storyteller. Why don't you tell us a good story about something that you've seen in your time so far with Big Brothers Big Sisters, where you've actually seen that mentor make a difference?
Okay.
I'm sure you've got many, but I mean, one in particular that just stands out with you.
I oftentimes will ask for stories because I think stories have a powerful impact. I know they do. I studied that in my master's program, the impact of narrative. And so when I'm talking to current bigs, I always ask them for these stories about something that they've done with their little. That's amazing. I was talking to this big sister one time, and she said, Rob, I've got this amazing story for you. And she tells me the story, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's amazing. Like trying to pretend like it was earth-shattering. And she's like, no, but wait, Rob, here's why it's amazing. So she said that she had picked up her little sister the week before, and they were been on Pinterest, and they'd picked a recipe for an entree and a recipe for a dessert. And then the next week, they went to the store. She took her to the grocery store and picked out all the ingredients to make those recipes. They went back to her apartment and then baked it. And yeah, I'm like, that's amazing. I guess if you're a baking enthusiast, that's amazing. But you said amazing. I was trying to really act impressed, not to deflate her. And she's like, no, but wait, Rob. My little sister had never been to the grocery store before. Her family had done all of their grocery shopping her entire life at the gas station around the corner from their house. That's where they got all their food. I was like, all right, you're so right. That is amazing that you were able to expose your little sister to the world of healthy eating, to a grocery store, something so fundamental that we definitely take for granted, that people know what a grocery store is and how to cook healthy food to nourish them and give them energy in life. Because if you've been to a gas station recently and looked around at the food that's there, sometimes the fruit in the front is edible. Yeah. Oftentimes not. So that's a life-changing experience. And this is just an example of the impact that our bigs have on a daily basis.
That's a great example. You do take it for granted. Even things like kids knowing how to brush their teeth, wash their face. I mean, if you have nobody giving you that instruction at home, you wouldn't have a clue. Is there ever any gender mixing? When you talk about bigs as big brothers, big sisters, do you ever put a big sister with a young boy or a big brother with a young girl?
So what we have in that, as far as gender mixing, for a big couple, they would get a little brother. If you were to be a big couple, it's like being a big brother or big sister, but you do it together as a couple. You would get a little brother in that case because we have the waiting list of little brothers that are waiting for a big brother, so we always try to get them matched into that scenario. And then in our lunch buddy program, we have more little brothers coming into that program than we do big brothers. So because it's a site-based activity, the activity only happens at the elementary schools for lunch once a week. Oftentimes, if the parents are okay with it, we will go ahead and match a female volunteer with a male student, or else they might go without a lunch buddy ever, given how much the men in the community are stepping up right now to volunteer.
What's the greater need? Is it the bigs, finding more bigs, or is it money, or is it both?
It's a little bit of both. So there are approximately 10,000 elementary school students right now that are on free or reduced lunch in Springfield. Mm-hmm. Potentially all of those could benefit from having a big, right? And so last year we served, somewhere between, I think it was about 750 youths throughout the year. We ended the year with 400 and something active matches, 456, I believe. So we could grow quite a bit if we had the bigs to provide to the matches, to the littles that need them, and then the funding to support them, because these aren't just matches we put together, say, good luck, I hope you can make a positive outcome in this youth for your year of being with them. That's the minimum match requirement that we have that everybody commits to. That wouldn't be very responsible. So we have this whole match support program that helps those matches along the way, ensures child safety, and then facilitates the better forever that we aim for in our mission statement. So both. We need like $10 million and another 10,000 big brothers and big sisters, essentially.
There's always a need.
Yeah.
So I want to become a big. How do I do that?
You could go to bigbro.com and click on the link to volunteer, or you could call our office at 889-9136, or you could send me an email directly to rblevins, Blevins, at bigbro.com.
Okay. And if I wanted to donate?
You can also go to bigbro.com and click on donate, or you can just mail us a check if you want from the website. You could do that, or if you wanted to perhaps even get involved as a company. If you're part of an organization or a church, you could help us set up a presentation and recruit more bigs there, raise money through that organization as well.
Excellent, Rob. I want to thank Rob Blevins, who's the Community Relations Coordinator for Big Brother, Big Sisters of the Ozarks organization, coming in.
Well, thanks for giving us an opportunity to talk about some important stuff, Scott. I've always enjoyed chatting with you, and definitely this morning as well.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us this morning for Around the Ozarks, and we'll talk with you all again next week.
Thank you for joining us for Around the Ozarks, a public affairs program brought to you by your local Midwest Family Broadcasting Station. Listen again next Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Find this and all other segments of Around the Ozarks at mwfmarketing.fm.